to the April 15th, 2026 Lower Merion Board of Commissioners meetings. We have 3 meetings this evening: a Grants and Community Development meeting, a Economic Development Committee meeting, and a Building and Planning Committee meeting. Before we start, please silence your cell phones. There is amplifying equipment available for those who are having difficulty hearing during the meeting. This room is also equipped with telecoil technology. And later, when the floor is open for public comment, we will first take comment from those who are here physically in the room. We will then turn to anyone who is attending virtually, and we ask that you introduce yourself before beginning your comments. So to start this evening, we have the Grants and Community Development Committee, and I recognize its chair, Commissioner Timberlake.
Thank you, President Steiner. So we have 2 agenda items for tonight. The first one is a waiver of the CBDG residential rehabilitation fund limit. So I will make a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to add $32,000 to the previously approved expense of $116,000 for a total of $148,000, including a contingency of $5,000 to bring this home in Ardmore to minimum standards pursuant to CBDG regulations. Do I have a second? Commissioner Epstein, thank you.
I'll tell you my name, it's okay.
Ms. Crane happens to be standing right here. Would you mind providing an explanation of this?
Sure, I'll just tell you quickly. I think some of you are new, so I have to come before you guys whenever we want to spend more than $75,000 on a house in the home rehab program. This particular house, we did bid it out without knowing all of the work that was going to be done. Sorry, I came to you to request funds previously before we knew what all the work that was going to be done and the prices, and we underdid it a little bit. We ended up finding a lot of things during demolition that we had to repair, including rewiring the entire house, cracked sewer pipes. The lead, the amount of lead in the house was more extensive than we thought, so a lot of things had to be replaced. So tonight I'm requesting that we add this extra amount onto this home in Ardmore. And for those of you who are new also, this does mean that this home will have a large permanent lien on it. All of this money, not all of it, but a lot of this money does eventually come back into the township when people sell their houses. I was telling Commissioner Timberlake earlier tonight that I've had 3 people in the last year pay off their lien because they wanted to much later in their life. So this money does come back in and get put back into this program and reused. So that's maybe some questions.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the room who would like to comment on this agenda item? Okay. Jody, anyone online?
No, actually, no one requested a Zoom link tonight, so there will be no public on Zoom.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from other members of the committee? Seeing none. Okay. I will call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda is a resolution to authorization to apply to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Grant Program. So I will make a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of a resolution authorizing the township to submit an application to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Grant Program for the Ardmore Multimodal Transit Center project in the amount of $3 million with a minimum 30% match. Do I have a second? Commissioner Epstein, thank you. Brandon, would you mind explaining this item?
Happy to, Commissioner, and good evening, fellow other commissioners. This is the latest episode of grant season, so here we are yet again with another resolution to try and get state money for a public project, this time being the multimodal parking garage in Ardmore. As you know, we have entered into an agreement with Amtrak to jointly solicit proposals for our properties as well as theirs for the construction of the garage. And we are hoping to secure state funding, this time multimodal funds, in the amount of $3 million to help offset the cost and further encourage private development of the project.
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Do any members of the public in the room wish to comment? Okay, seeing none. Any questions or comments from other members of the committee? Commissioner Bernhardt.
Thank you. Brandon, would you be kind enough to explain where in the briefing it states that although the grant requires a total match of at least 30%, this match would be fulfilled by the anticipated private capital committed to the project. As such, there's no direct financial impact on the township finances. What are we talking about, the private capital?
So as you know, Amtrak did a solicitation of proposals. So they are active conversations with a variety of private developers who may be interested in developing this multimodal project, and they would be contributing the private capital. And any grant funds that we were to receive would be added to the project to further offset costs and attract even more interest into the project.
Right. But otherwise, we would be responsible for how much?
We have no out-of-pocket capital costs.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Timberlake.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernheim. Any other members of the committee? Okay. Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? No. Okay. Madam Secretary, that passes unanimously. And that concludes the business of the Grants and Community Development Committee. Thank you. President
Thank you
Simon.
very much, Commissioner Timberlake. The next committee meeting for this evening is the Economic Development Committee, and I recognize its chair, Commissioner Kramer.
Thank you. Tonight, there is one item on the agenda of the Economic Development Committee, which is the approval of a request from the Downtown Ardmore District for the installation of wayfinding assets. To start us off, I move that we recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of a request from the Downtown Ardmore District, formerly the Ardmore Initiative, for the replacement and expansion of wayfinding assets consisting of 4 freestanding wayfinding kiosks and 1 wall-mounted wayfinding sign. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Timberlake. I'd like to ask our Libby Horowitz to give us an explanation of this request.
Good evening. For those who haven't met me, I'm Libby Horowitz, the new Economic Development Specialist, and I'm going to be taking you through the request for the Downtown Ardmore District wayfinding assets. Alec Hirsch is really sorry he couldn't make it tonight. He is at a a Main Street conference. So the request is for 5 different signs. 1 is a new freestanding kiosk. 3 are going to be replacing existing signage, and then 1 is going to be a wall-mounted sign. We have gone over the required permits with them. The freestanding kiosk, the new one, will require a highway permit. The freestanding kiosks that are replacing the 3 existing ones will not require permits, and the wall-mounted sign will be requiring a commercial building permit. They were also aware of the distance requirement for sidewalk space. So this is a map of the asset locations. This is also the map that they are going to be using. Staff has provided some comments, so it's not the final map on the wayfinding signs. There are some errors in there, so if you notice, that's why. But these signs are going to be, you'll see the first, the second, and the third are replacing those 3 different signs. The 4th is that wall-mounted, which is going to be at 1 Cricket. And the new sign is going to be at Suburban Square. You can't really see it in the picture, but it is going to be on the sidewalk. It's planned to be on the sidewalk, and there's actually a little area there that's sort of a little bit of a curb cut, so it might even stop some people crossing as well. As far as the design of these, they are going to be inclusive of wayfinding maps and historical interpretive panels. They're going to have downlighting informational on the informational portion, and then the Downtown Ardmore District will be lit as well. The wall-mounted sign will not be lit. Those are for the freestanding. And the design was chosen to reflect existing visual language. There will be no fiscal impact for the township. They are receiving grant funding from a local, state local shared account, as well as private sponsorship, and will be responsible for the ongoing maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, do any of the board members have any questions or comments about this? In that case, we have one. Okay, Commissioner Timberlake.
I just want to express my thanks to Al Kirsch and everyone at Downtown Ardmore District for the work they're doing to beautify and improve downtown Ardmore. They're doing an absolutely a fantastic job above and beyond my expectations. So I just want to say thanks. That's all.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Well, seeing none, I'd like to call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. It looks quite unanimous. In that case, the business of the Economic Development Committee is concluded.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Kramer. Our last committee for this evening is the Building and Planning Committee. I recognize its chair, Commissioner Whalen.
Thank you very much. We have two items on tonight's agenda. The first is with regard to the authorization to release funds held in escrow. And I am going to move that we recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to release funds held in escrow as improvement guarantees in accordance with Section 135-7 of the Township Code for the following: 727 to 731 Montgomery Avenue, escrow release number 1 in the amount of $221,534. Do I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Bernheim. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from any commissioners? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. That passes unanimously. I see no one who didn't vote. So now we're on to the second item, and this is with regard to the approval of Historic Commission applications. So I'm going to move to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the following applications as recommended by the Historical Commission at their meeting held on March 23rd, 2026. First, 10 Monument Avenue, Bala-Cynwyd, Class 2, approval to install a monument sign and to acknowledge an as-built condition for new window openings on the City Avenue facade. And second, for 61 Anderson Avenue, Ardmore, Class 2, approval to install non-illuminated lettering on a raceway above the corner entrance and 2 double-faced non-illuminated blade signs, one on each street frontage, citing Secretary of the Interior Standard number 9. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments? Commissioner Sano?
I don't know if staff is able to present the first one, but I think it would be useful to see.
All right.
Greg's
Greg is online, right?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there in person this evening, but I'd be happy to go over the 10 Monument Road application. Just one moment, I'll share my screen.
Thank you.
And let me know when you can see the slide.
We can see it.
Okay, yes, as many of you know, this property had come before the commission a couple of years ago for some major modifications to the exterior. The current owner, Susquehanna International Group, came before the commission last month with actually 4 separate projects involving this property. First was a bicycle shelter. This is an aspect of the project that the Historical Commission recommended approval of, but SIG decided to hold back until next month so they could do some internal reviews. The second project is for new window openings on the east elevation. Project 3 is for a monument sign, and Project 4 is to recognize as-built window conditions on the City Avenue facade. So I'll explain those a little bit, specifically Project 3, the monument sign. This is a fairly straightforward part of the application. Its location has been found to be zoning compliant, and the Historical Commission recommended approval. This is where it would be located. The street to the right with the blue line going through it is Monument Road. And the sign location is circled in red. So it's very close to the new pedestrian bridge that was built over Monument Road just recently. This is a conceptual rendering showing that sign right at the base of that pedestrian bridge. Now, Project 4 involves the window openings that were recently installed on the City Avenue facade. This is a historic photograph of the building as it appeared when originally built in the 1950s. And these 5 window openings, these tall windows, would bring some light into the previously fully enclosed studio space, television studio space of the building. On the top of this slide shows how they were approved in 2024. All 5 windows were to be the same height. As the building owner began working on the project, they realized that the elevation and the grade change was not exactly as shown in that elevation. So the 2 windows on the left side had to be reduced in height. The sill height was raised on those. And so that's what's depicted on the bottom elevation drawing here. And that is how they built it. Unfortunately, they did not come back to the commission for a review of that change to the design, but they wanted to get everything on the record, and we thought it was a good idea for the commission to at least see these as-built conditions and, again, to have this final design on the record. And the commission did recommend approval while stressing that applicants should always come back or at least let staff know when conditions on the field are not as they were depicted in the submitted elevations. So that is that, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Commissioner
Simon, imagine.
Thank you, Commissioner Mellon. So the first, Greg, is just a small one. The graphic that was provided for us for the sign, which is it's a fine sign, it says not to scale. Does that just mean it might be slightly different? It's not that it's going to show up all of a sudden considerably larger than what is depicted there?
No, I think it's always difficult to place a 2-dimensional object in a 3D setting and to get the proportions exactly right. So that I've been assured that it will be within zoning guidelines, and the Historical Commission didn't have any concerns about its scale.
Okay, and then the other is just about the windows, and I mean, we as a board talked about this building a lot. There's a terrific example of the architecture that that it had. But it wasn't really conducive for the adaptive reuse that needed to be done here, and it was Class 2. There wasn't particularly much to do with that anyway. I'm just curious, like the grade change to me seems like a pretty big thing to have missed the first time around, right? And it seems like a pretty obvious condition. I don't know if you have any information about that, or just it just sort of showed up that way.
Yeah, I don't have any insights on how that grade level was determined 2 years ago. I believe the company is working with a different architect now, and so the elevations that you saw were drawn by 2 different entities. So yeah, again, I don't have an explanation for why it was incorrectly measured to begin with.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there was a long discussion on that on those elements to have it show up this way. Anyway, thank you very much, Commissioner Whalen.
Thank you, President Sinai. Any other comments or questions about this item for anyone? Commissioner Daly.
Real quick. Also about Project 3. I agree it's a fine sign. I have no questions about the appearance of the sign. The location of the sign, I have a question about, because based on the image on page 9, it looks like it's close to, I don't know if that's a road or if that's an entrance to a parking lot. And so I just want to make sure staff doesn't have any concerns that the placement of the sign is going to block the one car's view of oncoming traffic. I've seen that happen before, so that's it. That's the question.
We actually worked with the applicants to ensure that it was far enough away from the setback. And my understanding is we have those rules in the zoning code for just that reason, so that visibility is preserved. And yeah, we believe it's in compliance with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments with regard to 10 Monument Avenue from any of the commissioners? Seeing none, do any of the commissioners want Greg to also walk us through 61 Anderson Avenue? That one's a little more straightforward. All right. Any comments or questions from the public? Please.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name's Reed Lyons. I'm the new Global Real Estate Project Management Director at Susquehanna, so I just wanted to address some of the chatter that had come. We've been working very closely with Greg on this particular project. With regard to the signage, I think Greg answered all the questions exactly the way that I would have been. We tried to render it in a photo, so it's not an as-built condition, and I would refer you to the site plan, which is much, much more accurate. And we've been in constant communication with the zoning officer to ensure that that which we put forward will be compliant. With regard to project number 4, many of us who are leading this department were not with the company in 2024. I've only been with the company for several months right now, but those of us who are new determined when we went to this project, there was actually certificates of occupancy, everything was lawfully issued, but when we went back to go to the windows for the project that's being tabled until the next historic commission meeting, we realized that the commission's records differed from that of the CO as well as the building permit applications. So we, in good faith, being new folks, wanted to make sure that the Historic Commission had the actual as-built record, which was why we presented the project as an acknowledgement. So once it goes to the Historic Commission, it has to work its way through your committee and then ultimately the board. So we were really just trying to put on the up and up to let folks know that this was the condition. Again, as Greg mentioned, I wasn't there. We did have a change of architects, but I think it might have gotten missed in the shuffle. So in good faith, we were just putting forth the as-built conditions so that it's of record. But I want to thank you guys for your time and your support.
All right. Thank you and welcome. With that, it has been moved. I don't have a second. Thank you, Commissioner Epstein. And see how quick I got your name. Moved and seconded. Please raise your hand for all in favor. Any opposed? Seeing none. Jody, that passes unanimously. And President Sinai, we are concluded with building and planning.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Wellen, and I think we have brought this meeting in on time so that anyone who has not yet completed their taxes still has time to do so. Have a good evening, everyone. I think we